I walked into breakfast. You were sitting at little round tables. Have you ever been sitting at a bunch of round tables with people who you knew and somebody who you didn't know came and sat down? And ever in your life somebody came, sat down, and within a couple minutes, hardly any time at all, hardly any conversation at all, they just sucked the air out of the room? Okay, I got one yes, and the rest of you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going back over here. Have you ever been sitting at a table? So there you go. So you're there. Let's help them. Have you ever met somebody who just brightened up a room the minute they walked out of it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the question is this. Human behaviors does not make stuff up. Human behaviors watches humans behave. They look for things that occur over and over again. And they look for whether or not, if we could make that happen on purpose, if in fact, if they watch it long enough, if they observed it, they can duplicate it. So the first question is, apparently it's happened to a lot of people, what is it that you saw in that other person once upon a time in your lifetime? What is it you saw in that other person in a very short period of time with hardly any conversation at all that you like so much so fast? What is it that you saw in that person on a fundamental level that you like so much so fast? What is it that you think you saw in that other person that you like so much so fast? You saw you. And the more of you saw, the more you liked it. I spent all 72 years looking for a soulmate, somebody to be in love with, and all the time it was me. In psychology, the simple term for that is commonality. People who are like each other on a fundamental level tend to like each other. Or people like somebody who they'd like to be like. Okay? On a fundamental level. And I need to make this point. If you do this deep enough, and I'm going to try to do this in the next, 5 minutes, maybe 10. This is how you get somebody, this is how you become irresistible, because that happened to you once. In a very short period of time, you felt a connection, right? It happens to all of us. It happens more than once usually. It happens across cultures sometimes. One of my best friends is Chinese. He hired me to teach in Singapore. He grew up in China. We got nothing in common, man. West Philadelphia and China. And yet we really, really like each other. I got a really good friend in the United Kingdom. Same thing. So it's some fundamental thing we see. And by the way, just to make the point, my sweetheart, Annie, who right away, I can always see in people's eyes. Have you ever seen somebody walking down the hall of a hotel or walking through an airport with a woman on his arm and you thought to yourself, that's just not right? I know. But I come from, where do I come from? Yeah, Annie, obviously we were both younger then, but Annie grew up in the hills of Tennessee. She didn't see indoor plumbing until she was 15 years old. First of all, get out of here. Seriously, we've been together for 40 years and she still says stuff I just don't understand. I mean, if we were in Philadelphia, I get cut off in traffic around the Beltway. Every once in a while, the West Philly still comes out at me. And she said it comes out with something like, what did she say? Just the other day, after 40 years, she said, you're like a chicken on a June bug. I don't know what that even means. I swear to God, I had to Google June bug. I don't know what a June bug looks like. We didn't have them in West Philadelphia. But no kidding, here we go. But I met her. She was an agent in the same office I worked in, which is not a good idea. But you know what? I met her, and in like 5 minutes, I was in love. It took her longer. But seriously, I want to make this point. You don't have to be from West Philly for me to love you. It's something on a fundamental level.